Okay, so quick disclaimer first. We're not slagging any bunch of fan off, any individual, any group of fan or anyone in particular. We're just trying to work out what is actually wrong with Aston Villa. Dan, I'm joined by you as per usual to discuss what is actually going wrong at our beloved Aston Villa Football Club. And, well, numerous issues we could be looking at here. And I'm going to start off with what your thoughts are on what is the issue, because we're at this stage now. We haven't won an away game in over a year, and we can't seem to even win at home, bar against Rotherham United. What is going wrong at Aston Villa?
I think, first off, despite the fact we've got new owners and a new board who, in my mind, have not done too much wrong since they've come in, I don't think we could have asked for any more from them. To be honest, I think that they're doing a good job. I think that there was always going to be a little bit of, well, actually it's ended up being quite a lot of a hangover from last season. I mean, when you're picking up 17 points in a season, you're looking at the next season, you're never going to hit the ground running straight away. And I think, probably me included, at first we all got a little bit excited. I know I did when we beat Rotherham 3-0, but then you look at the league table and say, actually, Rotherham aren't really that great, are they? I think, to begin with, under Di Matteo, I think we were very unlucky. A couple of things that happened to Galini, I think 9 times out of 10 that stuff doesn't happen in the game, and then you're looking at extra points straight away. I think up until the Forest game, I actually felt quite positive, even though we weren't getting the results, because I felt like the players really were putting it in. They were playing well. They were trying to win the games. They were trying to win the fans back. But I think that late Forest goal and then followed by a late Brentford goal, I think that's absolutely flawed confidence again. And I think now Villa Park has become a very difficult place for the players to play again, which I was hoping we'd be able to avoid this season after what happened, understandably, last season with the fans at Villa Park. I mean, we were a joke last season, and the treatment that some of the players were given was fully deserved. I'm not sure that this season, booing and stuff like that, I'm not sure that it is warranted, because I don't feel like the players aren't putting it in. I don't feel like that's the problem at the moment. I don't know if you see it like that, but that's how I feel. I don't feel like the players aren't working hard, which was the case last season.
I think that there is a hangover, and I think fans sort of expected success under their ownership. And I'm going to admit it, I was one of those fans that sort of thought, we've got enough now to go up and we're going to push on from here. But in reality, I think that I realised pretty quickly that we're still missing a lot in the side. And like in midfield, we're a bit lightweight, for example, which does make it tougher. I think the fans do get frustrated easily, and I get why. And I get why fans may boo and start huffing and puffing and so on, but I don't think it helps. I think that if you're on the ball, for example, on the pitch, I know they say you block everything out, but I know a lot of people have said about Ashley Westwood that since people have started to boo him and whatever, he's tried to pass it forward more, and he's panicked more on the ball, and it's left the player that's actually worse than, say, a month previous when fans weren't not as frustrated with him. And I think this is a shining example as a general rule that fans need to get behind the players, and at the moment, they're not. They're losing the patience after 10, 15 minutes or so if it's not going well. And I think that may be an issue. And it does affect confidence, because confidence has been shot.
I get frustration. I completely understand it. I'm frustrated, but I don't think during the game is the time to air frustrations, if that makes sense. Obviously, there's going to be the odd grumble when a player misplaces a pass. I get that, but there seems to be, and it's a small vocal minority, I think, because in the main the fans are great, and they do travel the country. They want to get behind the team. They want to see Villa doing well. But there's an element at Villa Park, and it's been there even when we've been doing well under someone like Martin O'Neill, John Gregory. I remember there was a minority as well. They're just never happy, and I get why they're not happy at the moment. But booing it, first of all, ironically cheering someone that's been substituted, even if it is someone who's as experienced as Jedinak, stuff like that doesn't help. And then to follow it up by booing the guy that's coming on, who's obviously low on confidence. And I get that people don't rate players, because there's players I don't rate. Everyone knows I do not rate Alan Hutton. I think he's terrible. But during the game, I want him to do well, and I get behind him because he's got an Aston Villa shirt on, and I'm there to support people that are in an Aston Villa shirt. You've got an aspect where the crowd's supposed to be the 12th man, but I think that minority that we've got, it works against us, and the players are visibly affected when they're playing, and it happens away from home as well. Obviously, we've had plenty of problems, and this isn't the only reason. But I think it's a constant that does affect us, and I think that minority does hinder Aston Villa Football Club for me.
Yeah, I agree. And along that note, do you think that potentially it might just be a vicious circle, though? In the sense that I'm talking, you can't win a game at home, so then you're more under pressure when you go away. You can't win away, so when you come back at home, you get your fans booing because you haven't won away from home the previous week, you haven't won at home the previous week before. And it's a vicious cycle where you can't win a game because you're going away and you can't win. You go and play a home game and you can't win. It's a vicious circle.
It is. And as I say, I get it. And I get, last season we were an absolute joke. Steve Bruce probably won more games in his last month at Hull than we've won in a year. And that's probably a fact. And that's a disgrace. But we've also, you've got to remember, there's a big rebuild on at the moment. We've shipped a lot of players out, rightly so. So we've bought a lot of players in who are still settling. We didn't really get our squad properly sorted until the end of August, when the transfer deadline day came. We were still buying players on the last day. I think it is a vicious cycle. I think because people have seen what happened last season, the players weren't putting it in. We were losing games. They've probably kind of assumed that the players aren't putting it in now, and that's still the reason why we're losing games. But I don't think that's the case. I've not come away from Villa Park thinking that the players haven't tried. I've come away thinking, oh Jesus, what were those tactics? What was that team selection a few times? But I don't think you can level at the players that they're not trying this season. I don't think that's fair.
I think that there is a lot missing still, but I don't think that it is. I think it could be the fans' high expectations. But then still, we should be doing a lot better than we are right now. Yeah, there's no excuses for the current position. It is bad. And I know fans have been saying after the game, the weekend, that we should have done better. But Steve Bruce had 48 hours, if that, in the job, and only one training session. How much can you expect somebody to achieve? And he said himself it could be fitness. And on the note of fitness, Dr. Tony Shire said himself, the players aren't fit enough. Do you think that is an excuse, that the players aren't fit enough?
Well, the thing is, it's October now. Why are they not fit? What were we doing in pre-season? I mean, this was the same excuse that came out last summer. And to be honest, I couldn't believe it last summer with Ray Wilkins as a coach. To be honest, but this summer, I think we've had people like Kevin Bond and Steve Clark on the coaching staff, and I get the Di Matteo's a bit part-time, not always there or whatever. But these are people they're astute coaches. Would they not have piped up if the fitness training wasn't up to scratch? If the players weren't getting fit enough? It seems like a bit of an easy excuse to me to blame fitness. I mean, yeah, we've lost points too many times at the end of games, but we were talking before we started recording. The players were going well into the end of the Newcastle game. They didn't look unfit then. They looked like they could have played for another hour or so. We were well on top of that game in the last 20 minutes. You could probably level that we'd done nothing for the first 70 minutes. That's why they had so much fitness left in the last 20. But yeah, I don't know, fitness, it just seems like something that gets wheeled out when you're not doing very well, and I'm not sure I agree with it.
On Twitter, we've asked obviously people to tweet in and say what they think about the issue. I'm going to read these ones to you, Dan, and see what you think about these. Andy Rogers has said, I think we've become an outdated team behind the scenes. Scouting, training, all hanger from Lerner and the lack of input. I agree with that, to be honest, because I think our scouting network's been redone now. It's started to be redone. We had a guy in from Everton. I think our scouting network is an issue, but that's not the issue, I think, now. I think he could be right. I think training could be an issue there, that we're out of date and we're in a hangover period. But then we've got one of the most state-of-the-art facilities in the country in Bodymoor Heath.
The stuff that hasn't happened over the last 5 years that are bound to, over a period of time, come back and haunt you. And I think that probably is happening now. I think we are righting those wrongs, but then you're not going to see the fruits of that for another few years. If your scouting system's only just been put together, then you're not going to see anything for a few years come out of that. But I think in for player purchases and stuff like that, I think we all came away from the summer and we all thought we'd done good business. I think we all thought that we'd bought good players, but for whatever reason, And I still think that we have bought good players. The problem is we haven't got a system to fit all those good players in. I think that's another problem. That's where things are going wrong. I think that's another thing that could be levelled on the last 5 or 6 years. We've never had a set plan. We've never had any proper tactics. Managers seem to be guessing their best team. They seem to be throwing formations together, trying to shoehorn people into positions and things like that. They don't work. The best teams have a set way of playing. They have a set formation. They have a plan A, and they've also got a plan B for when things are working. I don't think we've had a plan A for 5, 6 years, and I think that's another hindrance. I think Di Matteo probably was the same. He obviously didn't know his best team. He didn't know his best formation, and as a result, things have become muddled. And then you see that on the pitch, the players don't know what they're doing. So I think, in a way, it's understandable what we've seen this season.
The next comment is quite relevant from James Clark. He said it's the classic case of too much too soon. I think it is. And this is why Dr. Tony has said it's a 2-year project to get us back in the Premier League.
I think we had to do what we did this summer. I don't think we had a choice. We could not be letting people go. We couldn't have people like Jolly and Lescott lining up playing for us this season. We had to ship people like him out and try and get someone like Tommy Elphick in. I think that stuff like that, it was inevitable in it. And it had to be done, and I still maintain that I think that approach will work long term. It's just not coming together as quick as we'd hoped and as quick as we as Villa fans want it to. And obviously there's going to be some frustrations, but it's just the way we channel these frustrations has got to be more productive to the team, in my eyes.
I think there's no hiding that. The whole sort of like, there's jet lag over things in a sense. I don't know what we can pick at that's so wrong. I think that you look at it, we've had 2 sets of players, 5 managers, I want to say. Is it 5? 5 managers at the club. Countless games where we've actually been the better side. The final product as such hasn't ever been there. We haven't finished teams off ever. For as long as I can remember. And I think, to me, that is confidence and not knowing how to finish a game out. And I think that's where Steve Bruce will come in, and hopefully he should be able to cure that.
I think some of our players, they seem to need specific instructions given to them, and if they don't get that, they go out on the pitch and look like strangers. And I think Bruce will sort that out. But I think midfield is a massive issue for us still. We haven't got that right in the summer. We needed another central midfielder, and we've not got one in. I think all our midfielders individually are okay, but we haven't got a partnership that works there.
I'm going to come back to the comments here. And somebody said there's no real leader. Brian Naylor said there's no real leader. Jednak poor, Elphick poor, right back positioning poor. A Joey Barton type figures needed. I don't agree with that one. I don't think we need Joey Barton at all in that side. I think that's the worst thing, or the worst case scenario.
I don't think we need Joey Barton because he's a nutcase. But I think we need an all-round midfield player, a warrior.
Yeah.
I think that is seriously lacking. I've heard people coming about calling Sanchez back, calling Veretout back. I don't think that's the answer. The Championship's not the place for them. The Premier League wasn't the place for them, it seemed, and I definitely don't think the Championship will be. I think Garner was a massive loss. I think Di Matteo and the owner obviously thought he was going to stay, and he could definitely play in a 2-man midfield, and he would have made a hell of a difference. I think Tishibola was probably meant to be more for the future, more of a bench player this season, but we've hoped that he could come in and replace Garner. But I think he will be a very good player again, but I think he needs some help alongside him. I think Garner was an absolutely huge loss in the summer.
Do you think Jordan Lydon could make that midfield? Because to me, there's no reason why we shouldn't be looking at youth right now.
I think then you look at the other angle of, is now the right time to be throwing youth in? It's difficult. I think Lydon could offer.
He isn't young anymore, though. He's the same age as Jack Grealish. This guy isn't young. He should be pushing for the first now. We shouldn't be trying to cover players and preventing them from perishing or whatever else. I think we need to throw them in there.
No, I do get what you're saying, and I would have expected him to, if he'd have been fit, I would have thought he'd have been a part of the 18-man squad every week, because he obviously is the future and he's got some good attributes. We certainly need some energy in there, and I think he would offer that. It's difficult to know what to do. I mean, we're sitting here trying to talk about it and decipher what's wrong with Aston Villa Football Club, but realistically, I don't know whether we certainly don't know we haven't got the answers, and I still don't feel as if the club has the answers. I think it's still going to be a long-term thing, and I know fans are probably sick of hearing that, but I think it is just going to take 2-3 years to even get us back on a level playing field again. I really do, and that saddens me to see Aston Villa languishing in the Championship. I never ever thought I would see it in my lifetime. It's horrible for fans to watch, but I think we're going to have to just accept that we've been mismanaged for so many years that it is going to take time to catch back up, and I think we're going to have to like it, and we're going to have to try and get behind it as best we can, because I don't think it's going to improve quickly. It's going to be a slow burner.
Totally agree. So I want to wrap this up fairly soon because I don't want to drag on and looking at different issues and everything. I'm going to run for a few more comments. This comment is from Max Roberts, who said, I think the fact is pretty much a clean out in the summer has something to do with it. Plus the fact Dimotay didn't know his best team, so they couldn't gel and get their team chemistry right. And they're playing as 11 players and not as a team. Like, we can't afford to do that in this league. I do believe we'll get better soon, though, once those factors sort themselves out and we get our best 11 sorted. I don't believe we're in a downfall. We're 3 fairly easy games, if you can say that, against Reading, Cardiff and Blackburn. If we win all 3 and get the strikers sorted, I think this will be a turnaround and we'll be fine at the table. And we can't complain at the owner for anything he's done because he's been great. We have the right people in now to do the job, so it's only a matter of time. I think that he's hit the nail on the head there. At the moment, we haven't got 11 individual players. I'm going to quickly mention Ali Sissoko, who's actually already said that the big difference between playing under Steve Bruce and Roberto Matteo is the team's already starting to bond and play together and play to the end fighting. So perhaps that comment from Max is nail on the head, and what I'm trying to basically say is that.
Yeah, I agree with what he said. To be fair, I think that's true. He made some good points, to be fair. I think he probably articulated what we've spent 25 minutes trying to say in one tweet.
Okay, Dan. So another issue along the lines of this is that fans will come out and say that the players have got to give us something to support for us to be able to cheer and support them and chant and whatever else. I don't buy that, because if you're on a player's back after 10 minutes, how are they expected to show what they can do if you're on the player's back after 10 minutes?
I think whilst you are in the game, whilst you've still got a chance of either getting a point or a win, there's absolutely, it's never the right decision to be getting on the team's back. It's never the right thing to do. Fair enough, you're 3-4-0 down, you're not getting back in the game. Have a moan, have a pop. But especially like on Saturday, admittedly we were garbage. We were utter garbage. I get that. It's fair enough, and I don't blame Steve Bruce for that. But it is what it is. We weren't very good on Saturday. But at the end of the day, the game was 1-1. All it would have taken was one bit of magic from someone or one bit of luck, and not that we get good luck very often. And the game could have been turned. But the team's going to be better with the fans behind them than it is with them being antsy and complaining all through the game. Every time someone passes backwards, it's like it's the worst thing you could have done. It's like someone's pissed on their kids. But in essence, you can't go forward every time you've got the ball. If you did that, you get slaughtered because you barely have the ball throughout 90 minutes. You've got to play the percentages. Sometimes you've got to keep the ball while you've got the ball. The other team isn't dangerous. I mean, to be fair, when we had the ball at the back last season with Jolly and Lescott, then yeah, okay, that was dangerous. But this season, I don't think it's like that. And the fans need to just accept that you can't go forwards every time. People don't like Ashley Westwood. Again, I get that, but you can't make every pass a forward pass. That's not how football works.
No, I think it doesn't work that way. And I think the fans are expecting us to go attacking when perhaps attacking isn't the right option. And along those lines of, well...
Yeah, but then when we go attacking and we end up conceding, they don't like that either.
No, they're grown. Yeah. Well, calm down. Calm. I know you're bursting here. But the final thing I want to say about this as a whole is the whole motive behind supporting it. I don't understand it at all. Like, we've seen on fan cams, there's a lot of positivity still. But we've still had the odd few, like the guy that came in the background before, who said he was going to rip up his season ticket or whatever. And stuff like that, that's just balmy. Absolutely balmy to say at this stage. And I know fans pour in a lot of money. I know we all do. But if your job, your job, for example, and somebody starts slagging you off and shouting abuse at you 10 minutes into your day because you know when your weekly target or whatever it is,
happens every day.
You're gonna be like put off, and you're going to be distracted, and your head's going to be all over the place. I know it's different because these are professionals, they've got psychologists, that and the other, but in the end of the day, they're human beings. And that's the bottom line of it. These are human beings, and they're going to have issues where they're going to be affected, because everyone would be. I know I would be, even if I had $1 million in my bank and I had £1 million sports psychologist, I'd still suffer when somebody's at me after 10 minutes, and I think you would be as well. I mean, what is it? It's the middle of October, and fans are already being negative and saying that it's the end of the season, blah, 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 blah. It's not great, it's not healthy, and it's not needed right now. That's all from what I've got to say. I don't know if you've got anything else to add to that today.
I don't want to say anything else. I'm wary that this may sound like we're having a go at all fans, which
we're not at all.
It's not the case. This is
just trying to work out what is going wrong.
For example, that guy who came up and said he was going to rip his season ticket up. He's not going to rip his season ticket up. He'll be there on Saturday. Okay,
then. So thanks to Dan for joining me today for this. If you did enjoy it, let me know. Drop us a comment below about what you think is going wrong with Villa. Is it the fans? Is it confidence? Or is it just downright the players can't be asked? Let us know in the comments. Like below as well. And subscribe to the Villa View with your post notifications on.
Absolutely shocking. Not the start we'd hoped for. And we're very lucky that we got the point in the end.
Don't you think, though, Bruce has been in the job 2 days? If you was asked to do a job for 2 days, you'd have been in the same position.
I'm not blaming Bruce, but the players have got to do a lot more. They let themselves down today.